This is Dr. Daniel Roth. I'd like to explain some elements that have been confusing to people, and they ask appropriately, what if I already had coronavirus and now I'm recovered? Can I go to my in-laws? Let's say we were each 14 days in quarantine. Why can't we get together on Yontiv? And these are good questions, but the problem is we are still learning so much about this virus. We don't know if people have recovered, have appropriate immunity. Some people will have neutralizing antibodies, but until we have testing to know that, it's uncertain. So it's possible that they recovered from it, but they may not be immune and can get it again. Furthermore, it's possible that they're still shedding virus longer than CDC requirements in terms of isolation. That means that the CDC says that if you've had at least 7 days since the beginning of onset of symptoms and at least 72 hours without a fever, without any medicine to reduce fever, and the symptoms are either near complete resolution or even completely resolved, one can come out of isolation. However, there are some recent studies that say that the virus can still be present even after that time. So one still has to be careful because it's possible that you can still transmit the virus to somebody else. Maybe not 3 weeks later, but it seems that it's longer, for some people, it's longer than 7 days. Also, in terms of coming together, even though people are in quarantine or in isolation for 14 days, it's not perfect. Sometimes you go out to the store, maybe you pick something up. 25% of people may be asymptomatic carriers. That means that they could be transmitting the virus without even knowing it. It could be that they picked it up at some point later and don't realize it. We assume that if you're in quarantine for 14 days after an exposure to somebody else, if you're going to get sick, it'll be manifest. But it's possible that people don't realize when they were exposed and they could still be shedding virus, spreading the virus, even after that 14 days that they were in quarantine. So the answer is really everybody needs to stay in place now and for Yontiv. It's very painful for some people who are lonely, who may be all alone without even a spouse or a friend in the same household. But as painful as it is, we have an achrayas to each other to stop the virus from spreading and prevent people from getting sick. I'm sure everybody's heard of terrible tragedies and stories, and it's our obligation. We can all participate in Atzalas Nefashos by sticking to these guidelines. Furthermore, people ask, if I got it already, does that mean I can't get sick? We hope that people who have it already have immunity, but there are cases of people who have had it and they don't seem to be forming neutralizing antibodies. We hope that's the exception. We hope people really can have immunity after this disease and be protected. We're also studying whether people who have had the disease and do form antibodies can donate plasma, and that plasma can be used to heal people with active infection because that part of the blood is full of antibodies that may be very beneficial. But we don't really know. Unless you have a test that shows you have neutralizing antibodies, then you can't assume that you're immune, even though we do hope and expect that most people will be immune. Furthermore, if you've already had it, one should not go out without a mask, both because everybody should have that principle of wearing a mask in public, and everybody will prevent the sharing and expressing respiratory droplets into the air around other people. Even with maintaining 6 feet of social distancing, some people will be able to cough and sneeze, and that respiratory droplets can carry much further than 6 feet. So the best thing is everybody in public should wear a mask. And even if you had it already, number one, you may not be immune. And even if you are immune, theoretically, you can then pick it up from somebody else, and even on contact and touching, and transmit it to somebody else. So people should wear a mask even if they've had it already. Then the question was raised about people who have recovered getting together and making a minyan on Yontiv because they've already had the disease, exclusive minyan for people who recover from COVID. It sounds like a great idea, and it would be nice if we had a way to, number one, test everybody who would be part of that minyan to see if they have neutralizing antibodies, and keep it exclusive so no one else who doesn't have neutralizing antibodies would attend, because we would not want them to be in such a minyan. But it's not possible. And we don't know who's immune, who's not immune. And that means that people who are recovered may still be shedding virus and be able to cause infection even beyond 7 or 14 days, probably even up to 21 days. And furthermore, it's possible that people who had it already may be able to get it again, or at least get some form of it that then can be transmitted to others. Bottom line is, we need to do everything that we can to prevent the spread of this disease, stop it in its tracks, save lives, and hopefully soon we'll see Yeshua and we'll be able to come and get back together again. Have a Chag Kosher V'Sameach.